Hi and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is Vlogs About Nothing. It's also the year 2024. Let me remind you guys of the kind of point we are in time, right? Because, let's just pretend I'm not from this timeline, and I'm just joining you guys, you know? So I'm just along for the ride, I'm just doing my job, and I'm here to tell y'all kindly that the year 2024 has been a pretty remarkable year. Okay, we are capable of doing so many things, from the convenience of our rear ends on our desk chairs, our couches, wherever we may take our phone, the showers. We take our phones everywhere, the public bathrooms. There, we can do so many things from the privacy of our own phone. I say that with such a grain of salt. We all know that there's no such thing as privacy as it concerns the usage of our phones, but yet we're still willfully ignorant. We talked about that last video, and we still continue to feed the cloud all of our information voluntarily, mind you, so that it then can be exploited, put into data transfer packets, and sold everywhere else in the world. I think, and I do have to remind myself that what we're talking about, because this one's a pretty heavy one for me, and I do have four words written down. But the world is a pretty convenient place. I mean, if you were a well-to-do fella or lady or they or them, and you had the financial resources, you could, not just in theory but in reality, have $50,000 in your bank account. You could hop on over to DraftKings or one of these other notably public websites that take your money to place bets. You could then take that money, you could put a bet down on your favorite team, wait 3 hours, and then lose all of your money in an instant. Your whole life has changed in 3 hours, right? It's completely changed, and there's no recourse. You understand, as this weird structure would make you understand, that that's your loss. What I like to talk about, though, and again, so is like, there are so many, while you can lose your life savings, while you can hire shady people to do shady things on the dark web, while you can, troll and pretend to be other people and steal identities, there's so many things that you can do from just not even moving very far or moving very much, right? But one of those things you can't do is vote. So I think it's interesting that there's an app for absolutely everything. That's a meme, obviously, as it is also reality. There's an app for everything, baby. You want to know how many calories you're burning. You want to know the likelihood of your partner cheating on you. You want to know what your future children are gonna look like if you mate with this person, or what they in theory would look like if you slept with Justin Bieber and had a family of five. I mean, there are all of these available resources at our disposal, right? But yet there's nothing that actually matters that helps you at home. One thing that would help is like a voting app, right? So this is, I mean, I haven't even ever heard anyone bring up the notion of there being an app to vote on. I mean, what is this, China? I mean, well, kind of, except under a different brand. But anyways, no, I'm just saying, why is it that we can lose, essentially, in some instances, our very means of living, but we can't do things that should be super, like, you should be able to pull out your phone on November 4th and vote, right? Like, unbiasedly. There should be, the IRS has an app that they are happy to have you download to help you sort out your tax problems. So why isn't there an app to make it so that everyone can vote? And I'm going to answer that question. And that's because old people don't want you to vote. They have no interest in letting Hispanics, which are by fact the largest population of people, culturally speaking, within this country. They don't want young people to vote. They don't want black people to vote. They only want old, rich, white people to vote. So they're never going to have a voting app. At least not until all the boomers organically just sort of fade into existence. And then that still leaves us with some grumpy Xers who will still have a lot of money, influence, and power. and maybe we'll even have to ride them out. I don't know. I hope not. Millennials, please don't continue this really, really awful, atrocious cycle of never getting anything done and making it way harder for young people to get stuff done. Listen, there should be an app to vote on. Like, instead, we're given the National Registration Voting Act, the National Registration of Voting Act or something. This weird bill that had been passed within modern memory the last 5 years or so. That's like the modern day Jim Crow, right? It's like it's, telling you that while you're an American citizen and you voted many times before, you now have to be compliant with the new laws. The new laws of voting. I mean, I don't understand. Isn't it like unconstitutional to have any laws on voting? I mean, which then made me think about the Constitution, and then it made me think about whether or not people in jail are allowed to vote, and then it made me think about the fact that the United States of America has the most like the most people in jail by far the world on over. So then I'm thinking to myself, what kind of a country am I living in where like we have the most locked up people in the entire world? Like, we don't even have 500 million people in our country. There are countries that are like 6 times as big as ours in literally 3 times a smaller physical size. And like, there's some things that don't make sense to me, and I have to like call out on it, I'm like, why can't I vote on my phone? And like, why is it becoming increasingly difficult to vote to begin with? Like, and that's because, again, as much as these boomer clowns say they want you to vote, they're talking about their friends, the people that they want to elect to continue to live out their fanciful fantasy of a life. I mean, these guys have been wealthy for quite some time, while we, as a younger generation, younger Xers, millennials, Gen Z, and now alphas, are having to deal with all of these problems that are a direct cause of their lack of wanting to care about anything other than themselves. So, I mean, you can imagine that I just am really feeling like that it's hard. People get so discouraged when people are turned off by something to the point that they don't even want to talk about it, which is what young people are. Like, that the plan has worked in terms of if you can get the people to not vote that wouldn't vote for you, then you have a higher likelihood of winning the rigged system. I mean, yeah, who are you going to applaud? I mean, all presidents, like, in private, sit down with the Electoral College and like shine their shoes and thank them for their due diligence and making sure that they were elected, even in some instances against their own constituencies? Like, I mean, does this happen? I can't be that far from the truth, because like, there is an electoral college. You'd think that a politician would want to thank all of whoever was involved in electing them in that kind of a way. And isn't it just ironic that a group of some people that represent all of us, I suppose, get to make the final decision as to who is receiving our electoral votes to go for the required 180 or whatever it is to get to become president? I mean, I don't know. Everything just sounds really shady. I just don't think that there is any kind of a way that any old person would ever even be considered. Like, do you know how easy it would be if you could vote from an app? Do you know how easy it would be if the government made paying out its benefits better in like in terms of just being faster? I mean, you can instantly Zelle people money, but still have to wait 3 to 5 business days for fake money to transfer into a fake account for your deposit. There's some things that make sense and some things that don't. And I think it would make a heck of a lot of sense to have a really cool voter ID app. Like, who needs a voter registration act when the government knows more about us than we do, already has our biometrics, and everybody already has a smartphone? Like, there's all of the security you need right there. They're saving hundreds of billions of dollars in infrastructure and stupid lawsuits against the Pillow Man for like saying that your voting machines were uncalibrated. And I did not say voting machines were uncalibrated. I said that the pillow guy said that the voting machines were uncalibrated, and he got in major trouble. And yeah, from what I hear, that pillow is awfully comfortable, though. I'm gonna have to try it out one day. Willful ignorance. Don't you all remember what we talked about the last video? Anyways, just trying to add a little bit of dark humor in on there, because I seriously don't think that that there is any reason for there not to be a voting app, except to make things more difficult for people that would actually change things, and to make it easier for people who don't want things to change to stay the same. I don't know, man. I've heard that song, It's a Man's World, but I've been thoroughly convinced since like the age of 11 that it's a boomer's world. And that, we're all just kind of living in it. We're just here just to work for the boomers, provide them with everything they need. What else do you need, Mr. Boomer, sir? Thank you very much. Thanks for letting me be of service to you, sir. It's such an honor. It's like, well, I don't know. You kind of deserve your own experience there, too. Anyways, I hope that you guys have a really good day. Little Jiminy Cricket. My roommate and I seen Scrooge, and man, Jiminy Cricket, I think that's not Jiminy Cricket. God dang it. It's another guy, the dude that works for Scrooge, and even at the very worst of moments is still defending Mr. Scrooge. Like, the family's like, dude, this guy treats you like garbage. And, this guy's straight up in the most humble way, you feel me? Like, listen, I'm not the guy. I, without saying it, I know he's the worst person in the world, but that doesn't mean that I have to be. In Michelle Obama's words, he took the higher road. Good for him. I hope that you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you for watching my show, and until next time, bye.